USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Finding a new job is stressful. But with Indeed, it doesn't have to be. Just fill out your Indeed profile with your skills, experience, and desired salary. The more you fill out, the better your matches will be. And hearing from hiring managers will be 2 times more likely. Relax. That's your Indeed profile sending opportunities your way. Indeed, the world can work better.
Hey, this is Frasz from Exiled Hope, and you're listening to the Brutally Delicious podcast.
Let's just jump in and talk about Exiled Hope then. Apocrypha's done and out, 4/11?
Yeah, April 11.
Now that it's complete, how do you feel about it, and are you satisfied with the outcome?
I am very satisfied with the outcome, although I know that I'm going to look back on this in, a couple months when album 4 is done, and I'm going to be like, man, I could have done that so much better. And I'm kind of already feeling like that because, it takes so long to actually release an album. If you're going through the proper channels with promotion and everything, it takes a long time from the time you start it to the time you actually release it to make sure that you get the proper promotion. So I'm really happy with it, but I also feel like, you know what, I could go back and redo a couple of things, but I'm not, because I want to get this album out, and if I keep doing that, it's never going to come out.
So I've got a bunch of specific questions, but I was curious, you just mentioned something. How do you know when a song is done then? Is it just deadline based?
There are no deadlines, and theoretically I could keep walking away forever, but generally, keep coming back to it forever. But generally I know when to walk away when I listen to it and nothing immediately stands out to me as needing to be fixed. And I kind of feel like, oh, I could listen to this and it could sound like a generally solid representation of what I can do at this point in time.
So specifics, let's dive right in.
Yeah.
So the album Apocrypha is described as your 3rd installment of an ongoing musical narrative. So how does this new protagonist's journey connect to or expand upon the stories in your 2 previous albums?
So the new protagonist is it's a point of view switch in the sense that we're kind of going to the point of view of the bad guys now. So the first 2 albums were focused on the rebels, and this album is focused on one of the members of the corrupt government that runs the city, who's kind of questioning, what are we doing? Is this really the right path? Like, what are these people trying to hide? And what are their goals? Like, what is all of this for? And so he's diving into the history of the city that was recently uncovered in album 2. And he's questioning whether he's on the right path and whether he should, be doing things differently. What's the best way to stay true to himself and use the power that he's been given for good. So,
okay. Were there challenges maintaining that continuity or introducing new twists and turns or perspectives?
Yeah, there are always a few challenges with figuring out how to continue the story without belaboring it or without taking it into a completely unwarranted, weird direction that might be a little bit off kilter. But I think that the way that I usually overcome that is I tie the themes to a specific thing that happened in a previous album or a specific point in the story. So there has to be this continuity based on something specific that happened.
Right.
And for Apocrypha, that is the rediscovery of, Hope and the documents and all the history that she left behind when she was executed in the first album. So yeah, there's always this nexus of events and little storylines pulling together.
So are you writing this like as short stories or even novellas beforehand, or is this kind of just writing as you're writing to the music?
It's kind of just as I'm writing to the music, but there is a version on my Substack page where I actually write down, what each song is about and how it relates to the story. So in my newsletter, I have albums 1, 2, and 3 all pretty much broken down into a story that you can read, like a short narrative, and it
Yeah,
tells
that's
you
cool.
like, what the songs represent at that point in the story.
Okay. So you guys definitely, I think, are like multi-genre. I mean, from what I've heard, it's kind of you're pulling from everywhere, right? So
Yep.
how does that musical diversity reflect on your protagonist's journey throughout the record?
It's a very tumultuous journey, and the different styles of music that I employ on the album represent different emotions that the characters are feeling or different things that they're dealing with. So like if I'm using harsh vocals, or if it's more black metal oriented track, then it's clearly gonna be a darker song with darker themes, and the character is clearly, going through a dark night of the soul. And when I'm like using more uplifting power metal sorts of sounds, there's usually either like some drama going on or some sort of revelation that the character's having. Specifically on Over For You probably stands out as that kind of song. So
You had some guest appearances as well from Metal Matt and Imperator Mortem. Is that correct? How did
yes.
that come about then? And how did they add to the whole story, right? Did you give them their parts or did they kind of ad lib it? What happened?
They've both been my friends for a very long time, so it came about just because I was like, hey, I kind of want to hear how you sound on this type of song because I love your singing and I want to hear how it sounds in this context. So I wrote out parts for them, and then they performed those parts, and then we kind of like sometimes, especially for Imperator Mortem, I had him sing the entire song, and then we kind of cut and spliced like which parts we were going to include on the song. And then for Metal Matt, I wrote him a verse and he sang the verse, and then I had him like sing the rest of the song and see how like we would work together
Right.
on that.
So is this in the live setting? I mean, what does this look like live? Is it a whole Broadway production, assuming you have the money? Because I imagine, cash is going to be an issue.
This isn't gonna be a live production ever, I don't think, because it's all me, and it would be really difficult it'd be really awkward to just kind of get up there and do karaoke with my guitar, pretty much, because
Right.
the synths would have to be backing tracks, and I really don't want to go through the trouble of getting, teaching other musicians the songs, because I actually do a lot of this kind of off the cuff, and I put the pieces together as I'm writing the song, so there's not a whole lot of planning that goes into it other than I generally want this type of feeling or this type of song, this type of riff to go in the song. So it would be really difficult to go in and teach everyone all the parts and have it come together in a live setting.
And you may have already done this, but what about in the video world? Because this is all, I mean, you could turn this into all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, I would love to do animated music videos in the future, and
That's what I was thinking in the back of my head, some sort of
yeah,
anime AI sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah, have the songs like actually be represented in the stories in like an animated setting.
Do you think about that when you're writing?
I do actually, yeah, because I think like some of my earliest exposures to music were like in films, and so in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking, how would this look if it was put to an actual film, if it was, part of the soundtrack to a film. So that's kind of always in my mind while I'm writing, and I kind of write with the intention that my songs could be synced to film, video games, and TV shows. So I'm trying to, give it that. I'm trying to show that I have that in mind and that I have that capability when I'm writing the songs.
Okay.
Switch to Verizon Business and get more from your internet without paying more for your internet. Get LTE Business Internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data, and with it, unlimited possibilities. Start saving today with Verizon Business, ranked #1 in small business internet customer satisfaction by J.D. Power. Starting price for 25 megabits per second LTE internet plan with smartphone plan savings, plus taxes, fees, and economic adjustment charge. Terms apply. For J.D. Power 2024 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards.
Here's a good one for you. How do you strike a balance between fantasy and reality in your lyrics? Or do you? And then if you do, what specific themes or conflicts do you think will resonate most strongly with your listeners?
That's actually a really important part of my songwriting because I love the escapism aspects of it, and I feel like we need a lot of escapism in music because that's what music is for a lot of us. But I also try to frame the escapist narrative elements of the song as personal things that are happening to the characters. So you're not listening to the song as, oh, these people are going to this place and they're doing these things. It's a more internal narrative, and I'm trying not to directly tell you what they're doing, but you can kind of imply what's happening based on how the characters are feeling. So it's a very stream of consciousness, personal emotions centered way of storytelling. So
are you kind of working out your demons through them? And if so, then does it make you vulnerable, or do you not even consider that?
It's a way of working out my thoughts and figuring out how I feel about different situations. And I could see the argument for it being vulnerable, but I feel like there's sufficient distance between myself and the characters that I'm reading so that it feels more objective, and it's a way for me to like take the things that are in my head and then put them into something that I can see and something that I can physically mess with and analyze it so that it's not so intimidating and so all-encompassing. It's just this tiny little thing that I now have in front of me that I'm working on, and it's like, oh, you're not so scary anymore now that I have you
Right.
in my control.
So what's next for you then? I know you said you're working on a fourth album. Is it going to be a continuation, or are we starting something different?
Yeah, the fourth album, it's mostly recorded. Of course, knowing me, I'm going to go back and re-record some parts because, that's how I roll. And it is a continuation of the Exiled Hope story, and it picks up where the Midquill, like Realm of the Exiled EP leaves off. That was a release that I did with in collaboration with Steelforge that came out recently on January 10th. And so the fourth album picks up where that EP left off, in the sense that Hope has finally emerged from the underworld. She has conquered those demons, and she is back in the realm of mortals. And but she doesn't really know how to deal with how everything in the world has changed since she left. I mean, she's trying to figure out her place in this new world and figure out what she can do to reestablish her legacy and figure out, what happened to everyone that she loves, and figure out how she can continue the war that she started in the first
Right.
album and continue fighting for, the rights of the citizens of the town.
What a time, like, too, because I think we're all trying to figure out where we fit in this new world.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
Yeah.
So if fans want to find you, can you give us all your socials? And
Yeah, I'm on Instagram and Threads as legally_metal. I am not super active on Facebook, but you can find Exiled Hope on Facebook if you would like to. I have a newsletter on Substack. It's just exiledhope.substack.com, and that's where you can read the actual stories behind all the albums and get all the lore and all the in-depth ideas that go into them. I'm also on Bandcamp, exiledhope.bandcamp.com. Let's see, Instagram, Threads, Bandcamp, Substack. I think those are the main ones that I use, so you can find me on there.
good luck with the record, and I'm sure we'll be talking again sometime soon.
All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Hey everyone, this is Bjorn from Soulwork, and this is Brutally Delicious.
Hey there, heavy metal maniacs and kitchen crusaders. I'm Bruce Moore, the host of the Brutally Delicious podcast, where we whisk up a blend of metal and food to quench even the most discriminate tastes. Have you ever wondered what your favorite metal musician chows down on before they hit the stage to melt your face off? Well, look no further. Here at the Brutally Delicious podcast, we have cooking segments so brutal they'll make your oven want to headbang. From beefy, bodacious burgers, to spicy, succulent salmon, to kickin' caliente cauliflower, and more. We mix metal and culinary creations, resulting in a feast for the senses.
But wait, there's more.
Hey, this is Michael Monroe. Brutally delicious. Isn't that beautiful? See you down the road.
Each week, I meet with the mammoths of metal for interviews that are spicier than a Carolina Reaper. Get the latest on their upcoming shows, behind-the-scenes stories, and if we're lucky enough, maybe they'll share a secret family recipe or two with us. You'll also want to check out our weekly album and show reviews, where we dice, slice, and serve up our unique takes on the latest metal releases. So grab your leather apron, crank the volume to 11, and subscribe to the Brutally Delicious podcast on your favorite podcast platform. It's sure to be a hell of a time.
Oh, hey there. It's Tim from Protest the Hero. Now that you've seen my junk, I'm going to show you how to make a pizza. And you're watching Brutally Delicious.
What's up, everybody? Max Cavalera, Soulfly, and you listen to Brutally Delicious podcast. Stay metal, motherfuckers.